Baby, listen. Make sure you like this video as you are coming in. Make sure you like it. Thank you. What is up, y'all? It's your girl, brand new. And honey, I am back in the building. Listen, this time, honey, I'm here to talk about a lot. Now, what is this that I am hearing about my girl, Miss Nene Leakes, contacting Miss Melody Cherie to do her podcast down to the YouTube? Do y'all want Melody on Nene's podcast? Now, you know they both my girls. That would, girl, I see Miss Robinson having a big old piece of cake. Okay. With some ice cream, 2 scoops for both my girls, Nene and Melody. What y'all think? A lot of people do not like this idea. They feel like it's very messy of Nene. Melody and Carlos have issues. Carlos and Nene are very close. You know, what if she gets on there and talks bad about Carlos? And, you know, I don't know. I don't even think Melody has returned Nene's message. I guess she commented on one of Nene's reels. Okay, but I'm not mad at it because, look, they both see each other. Nene was down to the Bravo being screwed over. Melody was over there being screwed over by Carlos and all of them. So, hey, okay, we'll say allegedly, honey, but I'm just saying, listen, they both have a story to tell. Don't y'all think that would be a good hookup? Okay, I got the hookup. Holla if you hear me. Shout out to Master P. Can y'all believe he used to make them say, na, yes. Sound like you gotta use the bathroom, baby. I always thought that about that. I was like, this is a dumbass song. We supposed to be getting hyped to this. Okay, but let's see what the people think about Miss Melody Cherie and Nene Leakes possibly coming together to do a podcast, honey. I said, how you feel, Miss Van? I felt Miss Van in my throat. Okay, I don't think it's a good idea, but if Melody, if she can entertain the rest of the hood boogers on Love and Marriage Huntsville, then, why not one more? Nene, she's not my type of person. Not at all. I don't do ghetto. Ghetto, a little bit hood. So Melody was over there with that damn motel for all those years. I mean, why not? Absolutely. I'm strongly considering, thinking about doing Nene Leakes, her podcast. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I would love to do it. I got so many stories to tell. Absolutely. Mel, you gonna get on there and talk your shiggity because you got a dark soul. You gonna talk about me and my soul and our kids. That's not right, Mel, for you to quit the show and leave us hanging. Now we gotta be our own toy line. Not toy line. Woo. Shut up. Okay, all y'all shut your ass up. Okay, Melody need to take her ass down to Nene's show. If she know what's good for her, maybe she could get Nene to pass my boy's builder's license test, okay? Absolutely not, Miss Marlene. Nene won't be taking no test for your raggedy, dusty ass son. How about you have his concubine do it? Now, baby, let's get into these comments, honey. Okay, let's let go of all the foolishness. So one person says Nene and Melody already had a relationship and not surprised they will converse together. Another person says, Mel, don't reply. Nene is the devil. Why is my girl the devil? What did she do? Another person says, Mel, don't look back. I don't trust Nene no more than I trust her friend Carlos King. I told y'all a lot of people is not going to like the association because, Nene and Carlos are close. They did Real Housewives of Atlanta together. He was her producer. He was Melody's, producer as well. I feel like it could be a good thing, Do y'all think Nene go kiss and tell and run and get Carlos and, or be telling him what Melody said? Well, he could watch the damn interview. Okay, so I don't know. Now, there was some people feeling like Nene was being sneaky, going behind Carlos's back, knowing there's bad blood between him and Melody, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like it's fair game, it's fair play. Carlos be over there interviewing all the housewives that Nene don't care for. So what's wrong with her interviewing Melody? It looked like she admired Melody. Melody is successful. Melody is very driven, how Nene is. So look, we see each other. They can have one of them moments. What y'all think? Another person says, why would Melody align herself with Nene? Melody is that boss. Now she doesn't need a Nene. Melody got her own network. Melody got her own. Nene is not the way. And she's besties with her ops. Another person says, Melody is trying to be free from all the BS, stress, and toxicity. I'm sure she is gearing up to fight Martell in the criminal court, in custody courts, and they are coming up real soon. She already said she is not interested in any TV shows right now. I understand, because that shit had to be stressful down to the Love and Marriage Huntsville. Then the nigga working you like a damn slave. Okay, it was giving Roots mini-series. Okay, them people never got a break. They would come off the reunion and be right into the next damn season. Got it completed less than a week. I mean, I'm just saying, that's how he was working them. Okay. Let's see what some more people got to say. Melody goes solo. Nene ain't to be trusted. Another person says, I pray that it's God said no to Nene Leakes. Not God said no. She is too close with Carlos King. They have an off and on friendship. Melody Cherie doesn't need to do interviews to stay relevant. Another person says, I trust Nene and she's a girl's girl. Another person says, I don't trust her. Another person says, I think if Mel does sit down with Nene, then she should only talk about her business and her products, nothing concerning Love and Marriage Huntsville or the cast, not even Carlos King. Be careful, Mel. How do y'all feel about that? Oh, and baby, that Claudia Jordan, baby, she read Britt Edie down to the Carlos King, honey. Her and Dustin and Carlos went in. I have to agree with everything that Claudia was saying about Britt. It came out that she ain't even doing the insurance stuff no more. I think that the girl is a liar. I think she's a manipulator. Claudia picked up on the fact that Britt wants to milk this whole situation with Kenya and the posters and everything. I am just like Carlos. I was waiting for her and her mother to have a real honest and vulnerable and transparent moment on Real Housewives of Atlanta where, she talks about when she was on the webcam, Claudia mentioned that she was down to the webcam, probably like doing stuff, showing stuff, showing her body, honey, and getting some money from it. Okay, we'll say allegedly. But, if that's the case, I agree with Claudia. Like, nobody exposed you per se. That was your job at one point. And yeah, you may not want people to see it, but at one point that was the nature of your job. So what exactly are you ashamed of, right? But like Carlos said, you know, why her and her mother, they didn't have a really emotional conversation about this girl doing all this sexual stuff. She claimed that she threw out the word teenager, and Carlos mentioned teenager can range from 13 to 19. You know, some people consider 18, you know, to be grown. But yeah, I was wondering about that too. Instead, Britt and her mother, they talked about surface stuff, about Kenya Moore should be a role model and she should be empowering young women like Britt. You know, she should be like a big sister. And it's like, girl, she ain't about to give you no damn big sis energy, okay? And you coming for her with your weapons. You can't be mentioning your weapons, okay? And then you embarrass Kenya in front of the girls. You had a hard on for her. I told you all, I forgot what review I did, but I did compare this to a man, because I've been in situations like this with women, and I'm just like, are you a man or are you a woman? Because I don't go that way, sweetie. Okay, yeah, but you didn't say hi, and you the only, this has happened several times with women, you guys, throughout the years, but you didn't say hi, and you didn't give me a hug, and you didn't acknowledge me. Bitch, I'm not here to acknowledge you. Acknowledge self. Okay, where is the self-love? Okay, shit. You gets no love from me. I know I'm not too ghetto. I said I know I'm not too ghetto. Okay, like, girl, calm down. Have a Coke and a smile. Do some shit. But when people act obsessive with you, it's just really uncomfortable. Especially, you know, when it's a woman. It's uncomfortable with men, too. Especially you're not attracted to them. Okay, they ain't got a chance in hell, you know. So it's just, but that's what it looked like with Britt. Like, she studied Kenya. She studied going against her. Some people are saying that Callie is doing the same thing with Portia. No, to me, Callie is throwing light shade. And she's just saying what the audience is thinking. Like, girl, why did you go in that lady house and walk out with her husband? And how you gonna get engaged to him and he ain't even divorced yet? Like, how disrespectful. And what made it so bad was she partied with the girl, wore her clothes, ate food with her. You know, you can't do all of that. And then the timing of it was trifling. So me looking at what Portia said about Kenya, it was like, Portia, you're not even a good human being. Your damn self, your character is flawed. Okay, no scruples, morals, values, decorum, ethics. It's a chop. You don't have nothing. Okay, listen. Let's see what the people think about what Claudia, Carlos, and Dustin had to say about this, honey, because they went in. Okay, they went in. They dissected this whole thing. They said that Bravo shouldn't allow the women to talk about Kenya anymore. After this, you know, last episode, because she's not going to be on the show. They really do, in my opinion, you guys, they really do need Kenya. Britt is not a Kenya. She's not a Kenya. I think she's a wannabe, but she's not a Kenya. She's not Kenya's equal, and that's why Kenya felt really insulted. You know, when a bitch try you and they ain't even your equal, it'd be one thing if they on your level or surpassed you somewhere, you know, but when a bitch don't even measure up, y'all not equally yoked, it hit a little bit different. It hurt your feelings, okay? Like, I gotta get this hoe together. I know Kenya was like, I'm gonna get this bitch. Bitch, I got your number. Okay, and that crazy got to twirling around in Kenya's brain. Y'all know she was probably twirling and shit all around the house and shit and running into Brooklyn. Brooklyn like, what's wrong with you, mama? Okay, I'm over here twirling shit. Let me get to these damn comments, honey. A mess. But, yeah, Kenya took it to hell, baby. So one person says Angela is such a great addition. She gives old Real Housewives of Atlanta shade. Yes, moves story along, a bone collector, and has a career in money and love. Another person says, Claudia, thank you for being a true friend to Kenya. Another person says, absolutely, I have loved Claudia on this episode. She called it like it was. Another person says, I disagree with Dustin and Carlos. Britt is not winning the battle because the things Britt initially said when this came out months ago are coming back to prove she is a liar and playing victim, and she's still lying and playing the victim. Another person says Portia was fine with Simon leaving Fallon's kids. She can't be surprised now that he's ghosting Pilar. Portia introduced that relationship too soon into her daughter's life, and Dennis tried to slow her down. Yep. Another person says Kenya deserves to speak. We want to hear from her. Yeah, Dustin and Carlos, they were shocked that she's coming out with a YouTube channel. What the hell are y'all shocked about? She lost her job. She needs income. And she wants some of that YouTube money. Okay, shit, I see what time it is. Okay. I see what time it is with Kenya. And they're going to call her back. I see her going back, you guys. I do. But then again, on the other hand, I was kind of thinking about it like, after all the shit that Kenya been through with them, you know, it's like, would she even want to go back? Because this is very insulting. This is giving, we don't really see you as valuable. And she has did a lot for this show. Portia can't anchor this show, not by herself. She's too immature. That's another thing my mother told me a long time ago about Portia. She said, watch that girl right there. She's very immature. And that was back when, hell, she was playing normal, okay? She seemed like a nice human being. Now she Horsha Williams, honey, a mess. Another person says, Claudia, you were in your bag on this one. I'm so glad you didn't hold back on Britt. I agree with everything you said. Another person, oh yeah, they got to also, you guys, talking about having children. Having children isn't for everyone. And Claudia got to mentioning, I guess she had a really bad miscarriage, and then, you know, it wasn't even working out with the guy that she was with, you know. But she said that not all women want to have children, and even the women that do have children, that don't make them, you know, great moms, you know. And that's true. A lot of people dog their children. They don't properly love them. They don't humble themselves. They just see their children as an extension of themselves, you know. So yeah, a lot of nice conversation. Of course, Carlos, honey, had to tell us over 30 times, honey, how he outside. How he outside again, okay? I was like, ooh, child. Another person says, I disagree with Dustin. I believe Kenya deserves to speak her piece. Bravo has silenced her. Yeah. And then they mentioned Kenya may not be at the reunion. That'd be messed up. I think we need some closure, and I think Kenya should be invited. What do you think? Put in the comments, do you think Kenya should be invited to the reunion? Now, last but not least, you guys, I ran into this clip of Yandy and Rashida from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. They're having a conversation, and Yandy felt a way about Rashida saying that they are not friends. But, you know, Rashida was saying, well, girl, we don't talk all the time, and, you know, you ain't really in my phone like that. You know what? I have never really liked, Yandy. It was always something, I don't know, it was always something about her I just didn't trust. I think that Rashida is stuck on stupid. I think she's stagnant. She need to get rid of Kurt. Stop letting that man play in your face. Okay, y'all know she stuck around while he had the baby with a side chick, Jasmine. At first, I thought it was a made-up storyline. People kept saying they sold their souls, they sold their marriage for a reality TV check. I just can't believe they're still on the damn show. It's like, goddamn, you plan on retiring from this motherfucker. Okay, goddamn, move on. Okay, how about do a reality show called Press or something with one of your stores? Rashida is really pretty though, and she can rap and didn't when it came Michelle that called her Shorty Low. I like how she dresses, she's stylish. I like her and what's the girl, Tammy. Not Tammy Roman. I like Tammy Roman too, but not the dressing part. What's her name? Y'all know Waka Flocka girl. Tammy, that Tammy. Oh, and Yandy got mad when Rashida mentioned that man feces, that's what I call it. Damn dog feces. Man feces, Yandy didn't like that Rashida didn't say that, yeah, he don't be out here in these streets, but Rashida said, I don't know what that man do, it's been out here, he be hanging out with women, he be doing this, he be doing that, he be at bars, he denied knowing Jasmine, they showed that clip. I'm like, Yandy girl, are you even married to this nigga? Didn't you have like a whole wedding and it was fake and, you really didn't get the shit on paper? I always thought she was a damn fool for staying faithful to him for all that long, and look at me, child. I'm just pausing, honey. Like, that's a long ass time to hold somebody down just for the nigga to get out and say he wouldn't do it for her. See, it wouldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been me. Nope. Okay. Yandy, I hope you had your little boo on the side. I hope you did, girl. But I don't trust man feces. I'm with Rashida. But then again, when it comes to the two of them, shit, both of them stupid. Rashida, she older than Yandy and shit, still over there taking Kirk shit. So it's like, I don't halfway see it for her. But I guess if I had to choose out of the two of them, I'm more like, I think I like Rashida a little bit more. It's something about Yandy I just never trusted. Just never. I always found her to be pretentious, So let's see what the people have to say. So one person says, we all know Rashida doesn't have a great track record of being a true friend to anyone except Kirk and his 3 earrings. Honey, not the 3 earrings. People be dragging Kirk's ass about them earrings. Another person says, as soon as Rashida gets called out, she gets loud, defensive, and tries to gaslight and deflect. K. Michelle warned everybody about her years ago. Another person says, Rashida trying to throw men feces under the bus to get the heat off of Kirk. She's wrong, period. Another person says, Rashida's tone says it all. Yeah, she was basically flat out telling Yandy, and this is a lesson to us all. If a person is telling you and showing you through their actions they don't want to be your friend, if it's a man, he's showing you he doesn't want to be bothered with you, you have to hear that. Like, you have to hear that. And it was sad that Yandy was still trying to squeeze juice out of a turnip. It was like, girl, how many ways does she need to flip it and smack it and rub it down? And Rashida is very matter of fact, but she like most women. Okay, most of these heifers that reside down to the first floor, they got all this mouth and shit and all this hardness for other women's. And then when it come to these raggedy, dusty, crusty niggas, they don't cheat on me no more, no. All that bullshit. Okay, so it's just like, but she was just very, dry and matter of fact about like, girl, we don't hang out. And I get it, she was being honest with her, but it was almost as if she didn't have an emotional, connection to her, and Yandy was trying to fight for a little bit of something, but they agreed to just, they know what their relationship is and not to put 20 on 10 and let other people gas them up and, I guess, honey, but I wouldn't be cool with Rashida after she spoke to me that way, Yandy. Okay, like, why are you practically begging for friendship? The lady don't see it for you. Another person says, Rashida is so draining and defensive. Take your anger out on your husband, not the people around you. That part right there. Another person says, so when it comes to Yandy, she believes Jasmine, but when it comes to Kirk, it's I don't believe anything Jasmine has to say. Another person says, I wonder how Yandy feels now after screaming at Jasmine for Rashida, only for Rashida to downplay their relationship. Yeah, that's crazy. Another person says, Yandy too nice for me because, girl, your husband embarrassed you for seasons. Yep, the people don't forget it either. Another person says, Rashida is no one's friend. Another person says, Rashida sees Yandy as her co-worker. Simple. She needs to let Yandy know that. Stop being around the bush. Another person says, Kirk cheating on Rashida repeatedly has screwed her head up so badly. She wants everyone to be as miserable as she is. Another person says, Rashida, she don't have to reach out to you when you continuously go through what you go through with Kirk. Girl, please. Another person says, I know Zale laughing and kicking his feet in the air watching this. Another person says, Rashida doesn't need any conversation with Rashida. Why is she wasting her time? Rashida showed you her ass already. What other clarification do you need? Yeah, she was kind of lightweight big and I felt bad for the girl. Okay. Another person says, Rashida saying females tells me everything I need to know. What? She's male-centered? She is. Another person says, it's really not my place to tell anybody anything about their man. Facts, especially when yours ain't no better. I know that's right. Another person says, Rashida says, don't be my friend because of who I am. I literally hollered. Rashida must think she's Beyonce or Rihanna. And she ain't. Another person says Rashida is a big old hypocrite. Yandy was arguing with Jasmine and didn't even know half of what was going on in that relationship. She never takes accountability for anything. So what do y'all think about all of this, honey? What y'all think about this? Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. I am your girl, brand new, and I will check you guys out in the next video.